Happy afternoon, 605 Speaks peeps. How's it going? Twice in 1 week, I get to talk to strangers. Not advised when I was a little kid, and look at what I'm doing now. This is just, I don't know if this is leading by example or not. I am excited to have this much interest in talking to people because I'm going to hit several more counties and definitely several more towns in this next few weeks and really expand the project, which was born of the pandemic and COVID and isolation and when none of us could get out. And now here we are. It feels like this is the perfect time to really be getting out because we're on the edge of spring when we can finally go outside. Like I actually have natural light coming into my house as late as 7 p.m. in South Dakota. So that's amazing. One thing to quick want to promote for myself, we're recording this on April 4th, 2024. Bam! On April 12th at Icon, I'm going to be your hostess with the mostest for a little magic show. My favorite magician, Travis Nye, is going to be taking the stage, and he's going to be opening for the psychic comedian, magician, Peter Antonio from America's Got Talent. So if you're looking for tickets for that, tickets are still available online. I've posted the links on the 605 Speaks page. Feel free to message me if you need more info, but definitely get your tickets now. And I think it's going to be just an amazing show. As always, I've made Travis promise not to cut me in half. I am not made out for that kind of stuff. So, but let's talk about what we're really here to talk about tonight. We're going to talk to Hannah from Hartford. So this is another Minnehaha County, but we're getting to the western edge of Minnehaha County and a town where I haven't visited with anybody before for the project. So I'm going to bring her on screen. Welcome, Hannah.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Now, the first thing that you mentioned, and I'm going to start the banner right now. The first thing you mentioned to me is your involvement with the Hartford Farmers Market. And I got really excited at the idea of it's going to be nice enough to even go to a farmer's market, let alone grow anything for a farmer's market. So
no more snow.
Right. Fingers crossed, cross everything. Mm-hmm. A little bit about you then. So have you been a South Dakota native lifelong?
No, I have not. I'm actually a Minnesota girl. And I came out here for respiratory therapy school. And it's funny because I'm not in that role right now. But so now I work in marketing, but I live in Hartford. So I commute to Sioux Falls. But I really like Hartford. I love the community. South Dakota just seems to really have so many opportunities. And it kind of feels like the path has already written and you're just trailing along it, if that makes sense. Meant to be.
South Dakota, kind of the way I do feel like that is like we're even the city folk, we're a sense of adventure kind of people.
Yeah.
But a sense of adventure with a direct purpose towards it, like improving our own lives. We're not out here like climbing mountains just to say we climbed the mountain.
Right.
We're doing things to say, look, I built a life here, you know. Mm-hmm. What I think of when I think of Sioux Falls area, I feel like Brandon and T and Harrisburg are labeled as the Sioux Falls bedroom towns where people live there, commute here. But Hartford is sort of a combination of a bedroom town, but it's also growing. It's got a lot of things in it that I don't think people over here realize.
It is, yes. It's crazy that there's so many different community events that you can be a part of. Mm-hmm. And so I found my opportunity. I made a Hartford, South Dakota Rock Hunters page on Facebook because I like to paint rocks for fun.
I was just going to ask, like the painted rocks?
Yes. I call them like kindness rocks because you can write cute things on there. But I also love to paint all sorts of rocks. I painted my son a Pokemon rock. And this summer we painted Harry Potter themed rocks. And so it's just kind of a fun thing. So we would hide them around Hartford, and so people could find it and then post it. So then the Hartford Farmers Market, they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, do you want to paint rocks with kids at the market?" And I said, "That sounds like a great time." So what I did was I ended up joining, and 2 years later, I'm on the committee, and I'm now face painting. I taught myself how to do that and kind of help with the kids' activities and the planning of everything.
Very cool. And what do you think about Hartford is kind of a unknown thing? What, when you go by it on I-90, it's even grown towards I-90. You've got the big
Yes.
hotel now and things like that. But the heart of the town itself is just a little bit off the interstate. If somebody were going to take the time to take that Hartford exit, what do you think is something they should seek out or that they would be surprised to find there?
I think they'd be surprised to find the Buffalo Ridge Brewing. That is a local spot here, and they have a lot of different events. They bring musicians in, a lot of local musicians. You can have events there. There's always different beer on tap. But also they have like bingo. Every Wednesday's trivia night. They have constant events going on, and that's I feel like the kind of the heart of the community is downtown Hartford.
And there's a it's not that brewery, but isn't there a steakhouse there?
Yes, the Hartford Steakhouse. That's very well known. People in Sioux Falls actually come to Hartford for the Hartford Steakhouse.
I
So,
have done that. That was a leading question.
yes, that honestly, that is a really good steakhouse. But also something I found out, I've only lived in Hartford for about 4 years now, but there's a really good meat market. And you think of the Midwest and you think of South Dakota, and you're like, oh, well, yeah, there's a lot of different agriculture and farmland. Well, there's also a lot of good meat, a lot of good meat markets. And so you
Right.
can get fresh quality meat. You can buy it local. You can support the farmers. And so there's creekside meats here in town too. And you can bring your dogs and your family or whatever in there. And they have a ton of different things to buy. So I'm a foodie too. I love to eat. Who doesn't? So I like going to different places and just finding stuff to source locally.
Very cool. Very cool. What brought you to Hartford when you came to South Dakota? Did you start out? Was that where you went
Oh
first? Or
gosh,
have
that's
you
a
made your
long
way here?
story.
Within the generalized realm, is that where you started out? Did you know when you came over that did you have a goal to live in a small town, or is that happened on the way?
So I'm from about an hour west of Minneapolis in Minnesota. That's where I was raised. And so I came out here for respiratory therapy school, and that was up in Madison, South Dakota. So about an hour north of Sioux Falls.
Right.
And so then you have to do a lot of clinicals and things in Sioux Falls because we have the big Avera and Sanford. We learned a lot there. Those are some great hospitals. So then I was still kind of living in Madison, finishing school, continued on with school for marketing and management. And so then Hartford was kind of just that in between place. I met a guy, and so we got married, and now I have a beautiful stepson. I'm his sidekick mommy, and it just kind of it all worked out. And so now I'm only 20 minutes from my job, and my husband works from home for himself. And yeah, that's just kind of the story.
So you get the little bit of a less crowded experience for close to
Yes.
home, but
Yes.
still close to somewhere where you can, like you said, marketing, things like that. You got to have things to market.
Hmm.
And so when you're talking media marketing, farmers marketing, that's different. But media
They're very
marketing,
different things. Yeah,
right?
I know. Very different things. And respiratory therapy is way different than marketing for businesses. But another thing that people probably don't think about when they think about South Dakota is a business community. And
Right.
I'm learning about that more and more as I know we're not really talking about like day-to-day jobs, but I feel like there's a lot of different opportunities for people who are maybe looking to move to South Dakota. There's so many different businesses from banks to online places that you can work from home. Uh,
Right.
there's just literally anything that you can think about. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people don't. It's funny. I like to travel. That's one of my other things. And me and my husband took a road trip to Maine last year. And we we went to a bed and breakfast and saw some people from Canada, and we spoke with them. And the 8 people that were in the room eating breakfast with us all thought that we rode horses and sat in buggies to get to where we need to go in South Dakota.
I would have turned to those Canadians and said, "Yeah, and I think you smell like maple."
Oh
I
my gosh.
I would have said, "Where's your plaid? Where's your flannel?"
Oh, don't you know? Just start
Right.
doing the
Just slip
Canadian
into their
Minnesota.
language like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
it's great. I don't think that other states really understand that. It's not like that here.
Yeah, we're
I
not that
don't have a
far.
horse.
The internet has brought some more modern ideas to all of us, so
Yes.
definitely. When you coming from even an hour away from Minneapolis, I mean, obviously that's a far denser and more urban congested. Probably didn't have to go far to get the amenities or necessities. If you were stranded in Hartford or if Sioux Falls were farther away, what amenities or necessities does Main Street Hartford offer? Can you, if you needed to go to the doctor or the dentist or the grocery store, what can be done while still at home?
Yeah, so it's always hard when you move from a different state and like just move from a different state. You have to kind of reestablish, where do I go to the doctor? Where do I go to the dentist? Help, I don't know what to do. But Hartford actually does. They do have a local clinic here for healthcare. They have dentists. They have chiropractors. They have eye care. You don't really need to leave for anything. There's a grocery store. We're also so the local grocery store is Sunshine Foods, which is great. Then
And that's not by any means a small, I mean, that's a full size, large
yeah,
grocery store. Sunshines are pretty
right.
well known in this corner of the state, and it's
Mhm.
not just a little corner store. It's a full size.
Right.
They have, if I haven't been in the one in Hartford, but the other ones, they all have deli, they all have
Yep.
meat market, everything.
Yep. They have all of that. I know a couple of the other ones are bigger. They may offer some more stuff, but it's kind of all you really need. And
Mhm.
it's local owners too. So you're really, again, supporting local. I think that's one of the big things that I feel like a lot of people in the Midwest are starting to really look at. All right, are we giving these big organizations money? Are we getting the Walmarts and the
Right.
Amazons of the world money, or should we really support the people that are in the community now?
Right.
And so, yeah, we have a grocery store. There's a pharmacy, drive-through pharmacy if you'd like. Um, there's a senior center. There's a couple gas stations. There's some restaurants. Yeah, it's kind of self-sustaining.
What is the school district like? Hartford's a big enough town. They're not a consolidated town, right? They've got everything, all grades there.
Yep, all grades here. My son is 8 years old, so he's in the elementary school, second grade, and so it's kind of strange how they do it in Hartford, and I'm kind of learning it too. This year, he's in the Hartford school, but it's combined with the Humboldt district as well,
Oh,
or
okay.
territory, I think is what you say. And so he'll go there for in-person school next year. And he'll do that for a few years. And then once he hits high school, then they come back to Hartford and they go to the high school there. So Humboldt's only 8 miles away, I think. So it's just considered one now.
Okay. So I did not realize that they had merged.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
strange.
There's a lot of little towns that it's definitely for the younger grades, they're shared, or vice versa. They're either shared for the little ones and have separate high schools somehow, or the high schools are the one for multiple little towns, which
Right.
definitely is a great way to get a mix of kids and meet more people and save costs and things like that. So
Definitely.
love.
However they can do it.
Right, right. As long as the kids can go uphill both ways in the snow, then they can make
Yep.
it.
Don't say the S word.
Right, right. What is a reason to leave Hartford? What, just for the day, what is something that you have consistently found, if I want to seek out this type of entertainment or do this thing or get this thing, I got to go out of town to do it?
Sure. And my brain right away goes to like the family activities. So Hartford doesn't have a bowling alley or a movie theater. There's a lot of like trampoline, sky zone type
Mm-hmm.
areas. 605 Ninja, a bunch of stuff in Sioux Falls that kids can go to, and we obviously don't have that here in Hartford. Um, Ice skating, rollerblading, all of that will probably be done in Sioux Falls too. But Sioux Falls is so close that I mean, we're the same county, right? And
Right.
so when I go to work, it's only 21 minutes to drive. Well, someone from the other side of Sioux Falls going to my job, it's maybe even more.
Right.
So, I mean, we kind of are Sioux Falls, I say.
Right. It's very, very close, very shared. I think about that a lot. Being somebody that grew up on the east side and the north end, that now I live on the south side, and I definitely things that I used to just readily get to, it's a good half hour, and I'm in the same town,
Mhm.
but
Yeah. I'm actually interested. You said that there's a psychic comedian coming to
yeah.
Icon. See, we don't have that in Hartford.
That's true. That's true. Yes, I think that that's something about Sioux Falls, that there's getting to be a lot more shows that are bigger quality, and a lot of like mid-level and bigger shows where it's bigger names coming, but the ticket prices are still South Dakota friendly. Like this,
Mhm.
I have to look at it because I didn't. I don't even know. I want to say the tickets are only like $20, but I could be a liar. I just get hired for the gig. I didn't read what the details of that part. But a show that's going to have an internationally touring person and then a nationally touring person with a local connection, Travis, and then to have it be right in downtown Sioux Falls. Like you're still going to go, you're not going to have to get a room or
Right.
whatever. And there's restaurants all around. I mean, you can do dinner and do this show and go home. And we're getting to see a lot more stuff like that. And I think that's great. I think that it's starting to come back post pandemic now.
Oh yeah,
So,
definitely. And I know South Dakota, we didn't really shut down too much, but I feel like since COVID, since 2020 happened, there's a ton of people that want to really just push events. And so I think we
right,
came back and it's like even more like, okay, what's one of the 10 things that we want to do that's actually going on in Sioux Falls this weekend?
right,
Got to pick one. What are we going
right.
to do?
Because even for people that went to work socially, we had to shut down. I
Right.
mean, that was a lot of us were. It was you might have went to work and you might have went shopping for your necessities, but then we all went home.
Yeah.
We didn't, and we figured things out. But yeah,
To
I
see
think it
other
is starting
humans.
to come back around, and entertainers that tour are starting to tour again. And I think that now some places that were overlooked, where they were like, "Well, I'm not going unless there's X number of people in the audience," and now it's like, here's all this untapped audience potential
Right.
because they found out about all of us because we were doing things on the internet.
Right.
So,
Definitely. Definitely. And Sioux Falls now is like over 300,000 people, which isn't a lot in terms of comparing it to like Chicago or
mhm,
Minneapolis, but that's still a huge chunk of people. And
right,
that's not including Harrisburg and T and
right,
Brandon and Hartford, and so I think a lot of people in South Dakota are used to traveling to go to places. They
right,
maybe need to go to Costco on the weekends or whatever. People are used to driving, 1, 2, 3 hours. It's kind of nothing to them.
right.
So to have an event in Sioux Falls at the Denny or something like that, people drive. I think Pink is the big one that is coming
The
out.
next one, yep.
Yep, and so I think that's going to be sold out pretty quick.
I think that we also can appreciate how many things that we do outside here, event wise. Like in Sioux Falls, the Levitt, free
Right.
music outside. You can bring your kids can run around, things like that. We have definitely where um, we embrace that,
Definitely. Yeah,
outdoors.
I actually so you wrote a couple questions down when I signed up to talk with you tonight. And I asked my son tonight at supper, I'm like, how would you answer this? What would you want more of in South Dakota? And he's like, more hiking trails. I'm like, yeah, that's true. I mean,
Yeah.
it's it'd be nice to go places to hike, but we don't really have the elevation.
Yeah.
So, I'm fine with sitting there and listening to some concerts at the
You can
Levitt.
tell him he can forge his own.
Yeah, make your own path.
That's
Pave your own
right.
way.
What are things that, especially I'm sure you have friends and family that still live where you grew up,
Mhm.
when they, kind of similar to your experience with your road trip, when other people talk about South Dakota to you, what do they believe that they are absolutely right about in their description and they're getting it totally wrong?
What do they believe that they're right about in their description, but they're totally wrong?
Right. They believe that they know South Dakota because they've seen it on TV or something.
I honestly, when I talk to some friends from like back in high school and they're in these bigger cities, they think of it like the people in Canada do. They think of it as slow time living. There's not much going on there. Why would you want to live there?
Yeah,
And I really, when like my family comes to visit, they really see that it, like Hartford especially, is a very family community. I drive down the street and I see, tons of kids all the time. But everybody is so hospitable. Everybody's so nice. Um, I don't think you really get that other places. A lot of places are more guarded. But when
right.
you get into these small towns in South Dakota, it's just like everybody wants to help. Oh, where are you going? Are you hungry? What's
Right.
happening? Do you need advice? Do you need directions? What do you need? And they're not very rushed like they are in Minnesota, especially like in the cities. People are rushed. They're trying to get to where they're going. But I feel like in South Dakota, people are really like smelling the flowers.
Yeah. What about Hartford do you think is something that if they could bottle some essence of Hartford and
Oh
sell it,
gosh,
what would be the thing?
they could bottle the essence. Oh gosh. Um, do you live in Sioux Falls?
Yeah, yep. I'm
What
like
would you say about Sioux Falls?
Well, I grew up by John Morrell, so when I think about the essence of Sioux Falls, I go off on a really odd tangent. So I don't know if it's fair to ask me that question. Because every time someone in town is like, "Oh, what is that smell?" I'm like, "Well, first of all, it's not like it was in the '80s, and
It's better
second of
now.
all, that's the smell of money." So as far as I'm
No, that's
concerned, the
funny.
essence is everywhere.
I'm gonna do that. It's the smell of money. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah. Whenever I drive by a hog farm and people are like, "Oh, what's that smell?" That's the smell of money. So
Oh, I love that. Oh, well, for Hartford, what would you bottle up? I would just say again, I know I'm kind of cheating, but going back on the community feel, it just feels like you're already home. I feel like it's really made my transition to South Dakota so much better. I mean, getting involved with the Hartford Farmers Market. Now I see people in the community more, even if they're just walking by on the street during the market, or if I'm painting their kids' faces, or, helping vendors. I really feel like I'm getting to know these people. And for me, I'm kind of strange. I like to make connections. I like to learn through people. I'm very curious, so I'm always just wanting to make those internal connections. And Hartford really allows that, and people are open to those connections. And so it makes you feel more like home the more people that you meet. Well, for me anyways, the more people that I can connect with, the more
and put
right it
together where
feels.
they belong in the puzzle.
Yeah, definitely.
What
And I
is
mean, there's other towns too, the smaller towns that people make you feel that way. But I think being involved in community events wherever you're at in Sioux Falls or South Dakota or on the west side of the state, I think it really just helps all around.
what is something that you think Hartford needs? What is something that they're lacking?
Hmm. Some people think we need more fast food, and I do not think that. I don't
Okay.
need to be tempted. We can drive to Sioux Falls if we need something else. But more of.
Do you have a local paper?
Yes, we have a community paper. I think it's shared with Del Rapids and Baltic and some of the other smaller communities. Um, but I know we have a coffee shop, a local coffee shop. Maybe just more places to shop. As Sioux Falls is growing, people are, I mean, you have a huge apartment building that got built just this past year. I think they're now getting tenants in it. But I mean, Amazon was built pretty close to Hartford, and then you have like some huge apartment complexes that are coming. You can see where they're piping for new like city water and sewage and everything along the road to get to Hartford. And so we're growing so much, or we will be. I mean, when you look at 5 to 10 years from now, Hartford's going to look different.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, I think more shopping would be good. Why would you want to leave Sioux Falls or your local town to go to Hartford? I think maybe shopping would be one of them. I think that could draw some people, or just some more things to do. I mentioned the Buffalo Ridge Brewing. I know there's another bar, the Goat in town, that does some things. The Dugout is another bar that does some things. And then in Humboldt, you have some event spaces. But
those are all, like you said, those are all adult things, not necessarily families with kids.
So what can families with kids do?
Yeah.
I think maybe some more things for that, especially like during the day in the summer. I mean, what do kids usually do? We can go to the couple parks that are in town here. But
does your town have a swimming pool? Do you have a public pool?
We do. We have a public pool, and it's very busy all the time.
I'm sure. Yeah, because that would be the family thing or the kid thing.
Definitely.
So,
and you can rent out. There's a hotel in Hartford as well, the American, and I know that you can rent pool time out too. So,
okay.
Indoor pool,
like the pool passes.
Yeah.
When does the farmers market kick off? When does it?
Well, I had to pull up the dates here just so I don't say them wrong. But the Hartford Farmers Market, it starts in May and ends in September, and it's the last Thursday of every month. So the first one's coming up on May 30th.
And where is it in town? Is it like on the street? Is it in a park? Is it?
Yeah, so we shut down certain parts of Main Street. And so it's right in the middle of Hartford. You can't really miss it if you're driving through. So we shut off the block, the street, and then it'll be all up and down the street. So it's open container. People can drink. It's family friendly. You can bring your kids. It's dog friendly. You can bring your dogs. But then there's going to be at least 2 food trucks each time. So I know that draws some people as well. And yeah.
Do vendors have to apply like yearly? Is there like a review process for the vendors, or do they just have to rent a spot, or do they just sign up for a spot?
Yeah, they can sign up. They have to fill out a vendor form. They can either do each market or the whole season if they want. I think it's $15 per market or $60 for the whole season, and there's 5 different dates. So you're saving a little bit of money if you do the whole season. And all I have to do is fill out a form and then email it back to us with a check, and it's good to go. We don't really need to review any unless there's a lot of no-shows for that person.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I would love to see this year at the market is the young entrepreneur vendor booth. And so kids under the age of 18, they just have to pay $5 and they get to come to either one of the first 2 markets and sell things. And so I'm trying to get my son to sell some painted rocks because we have a lot of painted rocks and make some money. But I think it can teach them so many skills with communicating with people, maybe negotiating prices or explaining things or things like that. So I would love to see more kids at the market doing their own vendor booth. I think that'd be pretty cool.
What is an example of some of the past vendors you've had?
Oh, geez. There's been a ton just in the past couple of years. And vendors do really like to come back because there's anywhere from, I think we tried to tally it up. between 400 to 700 or 800 people walk through the market, each market. And so that's pretty crazy. We already have, I think, 30 vendors for this year,
Oh, wow.
which is it's like the most we had last year, right? And we already have that, and it's only the beginning of April, so we got some time, and we'll get more, which is awesome. But there's been salsa, jam, freeze dried treats, spicy freeze dried treats. There's been hydroponic plants where the guy he grows them in water, so you don't really have to use soil. Tons of vegetables. A lot of people like to sell their fruits and veggies that they are growing. This first market, you'll see a lot of starter plants for sale because things obviously aren't ready to be harvested. A lot of crafts, outside yard games I've seen. I think they're pretty cool. Jewelry to home decor. I mean,
Do you guys have
anything.
do you have any live entertainment? Do you ever have?
Yes. Yep. Every market we have a local musician come.
And is that already planned for the whole summer, or right now would be the planning time for that?
No, actually it's already planned. I know that we got a couple new people in, but we also got a couple people that have played at the market in the past. But yeah, we've already booked all of those, which is pretty crazy. We've already booked all of or most of the food trucks because you have to book those out because they get busy, and so we have that already all taken care of. So it'll be pretty cool.
How does somebody, if they are in Hartford and they think, well, I want to be involved in setting this up and helping keeping it going, how would they get involved with the management of the market?
Sure. Yeah, they can just easily Facebook message our Hartford, South Dakota Farmers Market page on Facebook, or they can email downtownhartfordinc@gmail.com. Or, I mean, you can ask more information to, there's people that work at the Hartford Brewery, the Buffalo Ridge Brewing. Some people that work there are involved in the market. So be pretty easy way to just say, hey, what do I do?
Right.
But yeah.
And you had kind of mentioned at the top of this that your connections through becoming a part of that, like you said, spun off into now you're doing face painting. What are some other things that you've gotten put in touch with that were unexpected to come from this kind of an event?
Yeah, so I taught myself how to face paint, and while I was doing that, I got approached by somebody from the zoo in Sioux Falls, and they got my information. And I'm going to be face painting at Rhino Palooza, which is on Mother's Day weekend. It's kind of a fun event they're having. They're celebrating the rhino conservation, and they're going to be giving the rhinos watermelon. I guess it's a treat for them. It's kind of cute. And the Hartford also has like a Christmas. Oh, I'm gonna butcher it. This Christmas Hartford Hometown Christmas is what it's called. And so they've paid me to go there for the past few years to face paint for, I think it's 5 hours. Santa comes, and there's a balloon artist and a gingerbread making contest and a tree decorating contest, all these things. But I've painted faces there as well. And then just learning more about other vendors in the community. I know we've done things like touch a truck. So we have farmers or local businesses with big trucks or fire trucks, ambulances come, which is kind of cool. We had the local snowplow, the city snowplow, come out, and we were able to have kids like paint on it.
On the blade?
Yep, on the blade. So they could see it for probably half of the snowy season, and then you probably can't see it anymore.
Right.
It's kind of a fun thing that kids can kind of connect with the things that are taking care of their community, you know?
Right. I hope we don't see any of the snow blades again.
I know.
Not until next year. When I heard,
happen.
I think it was 2 weekends ago, and they were talking on the news about how they were bringing the blades back out and putting everything back together because they thought we were going to get that bad of a blizzard. And I'm just like, you rats. But maybe because they prepared for it, we didn't get hit that bad. I know in the
Yes.
West they did though. In the West it was, and I was just like, please, I'm so sorry, my friends to the West. Please keep it. Please.
Don't come, please.
That's right. That's right.
I
Do
think we're
you
good for the rest of the season, though. I
I
was
hope
worried. We
so.
did get snow this week.
Right.
It was strange, and then today was just beautiful. So
Right.
you
We
never know.
needed, in true South Dakota fashion, I'm gonna say, if it weren't for the wind and we needed the moisture.
Hmm. I think that's one thing I don't like about South Dakota is the wind. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm from Minnesota. It's not that different of a winter, but the wind, I'm telling you,
Hmm.
ooh, that's hard.
Yeah. And there's not enough trees, and the kind of trees we have, there's not enough to really block it, just to keep it moving towards you, really.
Right. I know. I have to say, I listened to you with, I think it was just your last interview that you did. It was a local artist that
Mhm.
was showing his work at is it the
Uh,
co-op, the bookstore
Yep.
co-op?
Mhm.
I have never been there, and I've been wanting to go there for the past couple years since I've discovered them.
Oh, yes. Yeah, they're an awesome example of, like you said, community and putting faces together and things like that. The Just the ambiance of the place, you walk in and it's great. They have cubbies that local artists can rent and sell their art, and then
Oh,
you can buy books there and get books there and donate books there, and then I'm part of a book club that's there that's open to anybody. That's
okay.
always the second Sunday of the month. And right after we leave, they have like a vegetarian open house. It's their vegetarian potluck.
Oh my gosh, cool.
So yeah, whenever I leave, there's like a tray of carrots there. And um yeah, all of our downtown has really changed and evolved over the years in Sioux Falls. And that's one of the places that definitely, you don't have to have a lot of money and you don't have to be too trendy one way or the other. Everybody's different. Yeah, I really love it. So, and now
I'm
I have
excited
to
to
go
go.
in because like I said, I go there more often than once a month, but minimum once a month. And I just now realized I'm not really looking at my surroundings because I talked more with JE after we got off camera, and I said, "What do you mean those murals have been there? Like, one is new, but the one," he was like, "It's been there for like a year." And I'm like, "What?
Oh
No,
my
there's a
gosh.
bookcase right there." And he said, "Yes, and on the wall right next to it, there's a mural." And I just didn't absorb the everything. So,
You're gonna have to go there and take a picture and say, I finally found it.
right, right. And then I don't know if it's because they were like just making a point or something, but somebody from Full Circle, they posted a picture today of a new one of their murals on the wall. Like, okay, here it is. So,
Nice. Nice. I
but yeah,
love that. What book are you reading right now?
I have been working through a book that I actually read last year. I cannot even remember the title of it. It is huge. It is a true story about a nun in South Dakota after she left the convent.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, and it's the book club that I'm in, it's called Lection, where everybody has a different book. You read whatever you want.
Okay.
You We come there, you don't no one tells each other what book they brought, and we go around the circle and you read out loud from the book for 2 minutes
Okay.
without give it's actually 2 minutes and 37 seconds without giving any, no preamble, no description, no nothing, and then we move on to the next reader. And then at the end, we go around and each reveal what our book is and who the author is and why we picked it. And I read from that in a past lection, and now I'm kind of going back to it and reading it again. So,
Nice.
yeah.
That's really cool that you're first off, you're able to read a book a month. That's kind of hard in
Mhm.
some people's brain. Number one, number two, that you can get together and do that. And number three, the reading for 2 minutes and 37 seconds. I think that gave me a little stress of like, okay, these people really have to like this book. What do I want them to hear?
Yeah, and we all do it different because we say you can either start at the beginning or just start in the middle or start at the end. I always just open it, and whatever it opens to, that's where I read. And
Okay.
there's somebody with a timer. when they call time, you have to stop. We have a couple people that we have one that I always tease him because I think he intentionally reads really fast because he wants to get as much of it to us as he can. But and then some people just I know I've personally gone and just read it like I'm reading a phone book, and but then it's really a way to get introduced to books that are outside of your personal genres.
Your realm, yeah.
So I think when
I've
people go into a bookstore, they tend to go in and be like, okay, I'm going to look at romance novels or mystery novels or whatever. And
right.
that's where they always go to. And do they look at every shelf? And there's always, no matter how diverse of a reader you are, there's a section that you would just never gravitate to.
Mhm.
But sometimes people will read something and you'll be like, okay, well, that got me. And then you find out afterwards. So you were influenced by the story, not by the cover art or the
Yeah.
where it was in the store,
Yeah, not judging a book by the cover, but judging it by like what's in the
the
pages.
content. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I have had my head into, well, audiobooks, but fantasy romance audiobooks. For some reason, I'm hooked and I can't look at any other books.
See, that's what this would be perfect for you then, because I
Yes.
can think of there are several of us that will probably never bring a fantasy romance novel. But although there are a couple that would, and it's like, well, there you still might find a new one. So
Yeah, yeah. But even just it's hard for me to read history books. I think that none one would be pretty interesting though. But it's hard for me to like read factual data without a lot of storyline
yeah,
involved.
yeah.
I don't know if my brain's just mushy from watching so much CSI and crime
Well,
shows
and
when I
we've
was a
become
kid.
such a social media where we're used to bites and snippets.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's why I'm actually going back and reading this again. I read it all the way through, but at the time I was reading it, I don't think I really absorbed as much as I wanted to of it, of kind of how her life took the directions it did. And so now I'm sort of reading it with more intention. So,
I like that.
mhm. What are the kind of things that your kiddo is interested in? You said that you asked him what if there was more of. What are some things that if you asked him and said, "All right, the kids are going to take over Hartford. You have to market Hartford to the rest of the kids of the state." What what would a kid say? Here's what we've got that everybody wants.
Here's what we've got that everybody wants. I think Hartford has, I mean, there's a lot of different school activities. He's really into football right now. And so there's some really good football in Hartford and the surrounding areas. And so he's really excited as he grows up to do more of that and to get to know more people. Um, what else does Hartford have? We go on a lot of walks in Hartford. I mean, when I think about like the daily activities that we do, it's hard because like when you're on the grind of work, school,
Right.
home, all right, now I got to bed and do it all over again. I think he would want to see a candy store. Right now he says he wants to own a candy store when he's older.
Well, there we go.
So I think that could draw a lot of kids.
He definitely needs to practice at the farmer's market. He
Yeah.
cannot tell people they can eat the rocks.
Yeah, I know. No eating rocks. I'm trying to think what else he could sell at the farmer's market too. I wonder if he has a ton of Pokemon cards. He doesn't want any more. And so I'm like, can you resell Pokemon cards? Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Is there
I
is
don't
there
know.
a market value for this?
Right. There's a lot of kids that come through the market, so I bet there's some high demand for some Pokemon cards.
There we go.
I think one thing that I would like to see is more fishing spots. There's not many lakes like directly around us, like there are in Minnesota. But
Mhm.
he's very into fishing. But there are some like secret fishing holes that you just kind of have to know somebody that knows where they're at.
Right.
And I guess they're pretty good. So maybe you could market Hartford as the secret fishing spot for kids.
And that's one of the few parts there isn't even it's close to Sioux Falls, but it's not on the river.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the the river to some extent kind of cuts through Brandon, cuts through over here even, and but that's just far enough west of it. It's doesn't really get any of that river exposure.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Hannah, I appreciate chatting with you. I am going to, as I try to promise all my guests, let them get back to their real lives and not just be entertaining me. I definitely am going to want to talk to you again when the market's really rocking and rolling, and we can
I'll
talk
have to let you know everything that's happening there.
yeah. Once we'll have to get a list of all the food trucks, because food trucks are a thing. They're an entity of their own.
Yes.
But yes, thank you so much for telling me about your town. And maybe I will see you at Icon.
I would love to go. What's the date of that?
That is April 12th.
April 12th. That's coming up. That's what, next week?
It is next Friday. So
Friday.
collectiveeffortsunion.com is the website for tickets. Okay. So I hope I'm not lying too much about the ticket.
It'll be a ballpark $20.
Yes. But I'm excited because I don't know, the idea of a psychic comedian, it's just like, let's see if
I'm thinking, is he gonna make people do funny things?
I've seen his stuff before, and no, he doesn't. And I feel
like that'd be so embarrassing to go up there.
Yeah, he's not embarrassing. He does. I've seen a lot of clips of his stuff, both his televised stuff and his touring show, and it's not embarrassing. It is always crazy, wild stuff though, and Travis does a lot of the mentalism stuff too, where it's like I cannot figure out how he's doing it. And even the whole idea of people saying sometimes they're like, well, they must know you. Travis has this thing he does where like people tear a page out of a book and they take one word and or he holds up a book and they read one word and he'll figure out what the word is. Wow. And so it doesn't matter if he knew you or not, because you didn't know what word you were going to pick.
Strange.
I know. So I've always am trying to figure that stuff out, and I never have. So
you're emceeing that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I should go.
I just tell people when to clap.
Right now. All right. Now.
Now you can clap. So yeah, that's what I do. And so I'm really excited. It should be a fun show. So awesome. Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Hannah.
Yes, thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
So now your whole summer's planned. You're going to go to the Hartford Farmers Market. You're going to have food trucks and music and hydroponics. I'm going to look into that and see what kind of stuff. I really have thought that I should be growing my vegetables year round that way, but I do not have a green thumb. So I doubt that I could have a water thumb either. So, but super excited. I do know that with Hartford, absolutely true. The steakhouse, I have been there. They have a small menu, and that's how you do things right. Now I kind of want to go do trivia out there and see. I've been going to trivia here locally, and I've done terrible. I need to go find a new trivia master that asks questions more in line with things I know. If you have watched tonight and you have something interesting and exciting about your town that you would love to talk about and tell me about, I want to hear it. 605speaks.com. Find the website on the right side. You can click on the calendar link and pick a date. It is filling up for April and into May, so I'm probably going to have to open up my June dates soon too. So if you don't see the date that you think you can chat available, go ahead and email me at 605speaks@gmail.com and we'll make a plan. So thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the sunshine.